Hello, this is a presentation of the wedding liturgy of Daniel London and Ashley Bocci, held at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco on Friday, May 20th, 2016 at 2 p.m. Rehearsal on May 19th, Thursday at 2 p.m. And this is an image of the cathedral, sort of map and outline with the street names. Taylor Street is the street facing the entrance. You have the stairs and the Ghiberti doors, which will actually be open for us, the gates of paradise and baptismal font, and the indoor prayer labyrinth, which is where we will be having our ceremony. And we will be processing down the nave, the aisle of the nave. And the DL stands for Daniel London, and his wedding party will be getting ready on the south side near the Chapel of Grace, and we will proceed to the right side of the prayer labyrinth, which is where the groom's side usually is. And Ashley Bocci and her wedding party will be getting ready on the north side in the vestry room, and she'll proceed down the aisle and be on the left side, which is where the bride's party usually is. And here's a closer view. And here's a photo, and the green dots represent people seated. There will be chairs on the prayer labyrinth. There might be other people maybe sitting at pews or standing around, but there'll be seats on the labyrinth. And the purple dots represent the two priests and the homilist. So we're just going to move through the liturgy and watch the movement so that the rehearsal and the ceremony can go smoothly. So it'll begin with the Grace Cathedral staff clergy, Reverend Bob Ribicki, walking to the center to say a word of greeting, welcome to Grace Cathedral. They'll stay in the center as the procession begins. We'll have some processional piano music. And the procession begins with Ed and Deandra, and they'll go ahead and sit down in the inner circle of seats, followed by Isaac and Don, who can also sit down, Jacob and Anna, Matt and Hen, best man and maid of honor. And then I'll proceed down with my parents. I will stand at the outer edge of the inner circle, and my parents will sit down in the inner circle of seats. And then Reverend Bob Ribicki will say, will everyone please rise? And everyone will rise as Ashley proceeds down with her parents, Carl and Linda, who will then sit down in the inner circle, and Ashley will stand next to me by the outer edge of the inner circle of the prayer labyrinth. Then Reverend Bob Ribicki will give an introduction from the New Zealand prayer book. We have come together to ask God's blessing on Daniel and Ashley, etc. And after the introduction, Bob will say, please be seated for the declaration of consent. Then Bob will also sit, and Reverend John Cater will take over, and he'll be in the center and say, Daniel and Ashley, you are welcome, and now we ask for your public declaration. We make our public declaration. John Cater then asks our parents to accept and support the marriage. They say we will. John Cater says, will all of you witnessing these promises do all in your power to uphold these two persons in their marriage? Everyone says we will. He then offers a prayer collect and then sits down for the readings. And Jennifer will read from the book of Ruth, beginning by saying a reading from the book of Ruth. She'll end by saying, hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people, and people will say, thanks be to God. And those responses will be in the program. David Odoricio will read from Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. Beth and Carmel will read from Song of Songs. Again, ending each reading with saying, hear what the Spirit is saying to God's people. And people respond, thanks be to God. And then Eric Gruen will offer a homily, and after the homily, he will sit back down, and then we move into the exchange of vows. John Cater will meet Ashley and I in the center, and we will exchange vows, and then we will have the blessing and exchange of rings, as Matthew will give me the ring. Actually, he will give it to John Cater, or he'll give it to me and I'll give it to John, who will then bless it. And then we exchange the rings, and we have the Declaration of Union, followed by the prayers, which will be prayed by our parents, Carl and Linda, and Janet and Bob. And then the blessing of marriage will be at the outer edge of the prayer labyrinth. So we're moving through the labyrinth together. John will bless us and then dismiss everyone. And then the procession out is relatively simple. Carl and Linda will leave together, followed by Bob and Janet. Matt and Hen will leave together. Jacob and Anna. Isaac and Dawn. Ed and Deandra. And that's it.